In risk management, we have a saying: people do not plan to fail. They simply fail to plan for the unpredictable. If your financial architecture relies on everything going perfectly right, you don't have a plan. You have a wish.
I thought I was being smart by investing every single dollar I had. Then my car died, and I ended up in the emergency room on the exact same weekend. My portfolio was up 20%, but I had to put my survival on a high-interest credit card. The panic was unbearable.
We love talking about investing, compound growth, and getting rich. But what happens when the universe throws a wrench into the machine? Today, we are mastering the art of the safety net.
Welcome to Decode Advanced English on Wealth by Hana, where English meets finance, investing, and real-world thinking. Throughout this week, we have explored the absolute necessity of the emergency fund. We watched the terrifying domino effect of what happens when you face a crisis without a buffer. And we laid out the exact blueprint to build a safety net from zero. Today, we are taking a macro perspective. I am joined by Liam, our resident financial advisor, and Marcus, a corporate risk management and insurance expert. We are going to discuss the psychology of risk, cultural attitudes towards safety, and how to engineer unshakable resilience. Liam, Marcus, welcome to the studio. Marcus, I want to start with you. In the corporate world, risk management is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Entire departments exist just to calculate worst-case scenarios. Yet, on a personal level, families rarely do this. Why do we ignore personal risk?
It fundamentally comes down to cognitive biases, Hana. Humans possess a profound optimism bias. We are biologically wired to believe that catastrophic events, often called black swan events, only happen to other people on the evening news. We struggle to personalize probability. In corporate risk management, we use a concept called contingency planning. We assume the supply chain will break. We assume the market will crash. But individuals often operate on hope. An emergency fund is simply the personal finance equivalent of a corporate contingency plan. It is acknowledging that the universe is highly volatile and pre-funding your survival.
Liam, let's bring this to personal finance. We often talk about the cushion. Mathematically, how does this cushion alter a family's financial trajectory when a crisis hits?
The mathematics of a crisis are brutal without liquidity, Hana. Let's say you have a $10,000 medical emergency. If you have an emergency fund, your net worth drops by $10,000. That hurts, but it's finite. If you do not have an emergency fund, you put that bill on a credit card at 24% interest. Because you can only afford the minimum payments, that $10,000 emergency eventually costs you $25,000 over 5 years. It hijacks your future cash flow. The emergency fund stops the bleeding immediately. It prevents a localized wound from becoming a systemic, fatal infection.
That's a fascinating perspective. Marcus, how do cultural attitudes affect this? Do different cultures approach the concept of a safety net differently?
Absolutely. In many Western cultures, there's a heavy reliance on individual credit and institutional safety nets. Insurance, government unemployment benefits. People often leverage themselves to the maximum, assuming the system will catch them if they fall. Conversely, in many Asian cultures, there is a deep-rooted historical emphasis on high personal savings rates and multi-generational support. Cash liquidity is culturally viewed as a moral imperative, a way of protecting the family unit. The most robust financial architecture actually borrows from both, maximizing modern institutional insurance to cover catastrophic tail risk while maintaining a heavy, highly liquid personal cash buffer for immediate turbulence.
The theory of risk is fascinating, but the reality of risk is profoundly emotional. We asked 2 of our viewers to share their personal experiences.
First, we will hear from Sarah, a dedicated corporate professional who navigated a sudden, massive company layoff, showing us exactly what a perfectly engineered safety net looks like in action. Then we will listen to Mark, a freelance graphic designer who was hit by a devastating double crisis, a severe physical injury combined with a client bankruptcy, revealing the harsh reality of flying without a financial parachute.
Last year, my company went through a massive merger. Almost my entire division was laid off. It happened on a Thursday morning. I was handed a box for my desk items and escorted out of the building. If this had happened 5 years ago, I would have had a panic attack. But for the last 3 years, my husband and I had lived well below our means. We had 8 months of living expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. When I walked to my car that day, I didn't cry. I actually felt a strange sense of relief. That emergency fund gave me the privilege of taking a 2-month sabbatical to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my career. The emergency fund didn't just save my house, it gave me the ultimate luxury of optionality.
I'm a freelance graphic designer. For years, I told myself I didn't need an emergency fund because I was young and healthy and I wanted all my money working in the stock market. Then, a perfect storm hit. I broke my arm snowboarding and couldn't work for 6 weeks. The very same week, my primary client went bankrupt and stiffed me on a major invoice. I had to liquidate my stocks at a massive loss just to pay rent, and I still ended up with crippling credit card debt. The anxiety was so intense I couldn't sleep. It took me 2 agonizing years to dig out of that hole. Now, I will never, ever invest another dime until my 6-month cash cushion is fully topped up.
Peace of mind is infinitely more valuable than market returns.
Mark's story is a powerful reminder that resilience is engineered, not accidental. Before we wrap up today's roundtable, let's decode 8 advanced English vocabulary terms from this week's episodes. These terms are vital for discussing risk, security, and financial planning at a high level.
Number 1, emergency fund. A highly liquid pool of cash set aside specifically to cover unexpected financial shocks, such as a job loss or medical crisis.
Number 2, safety net. A broader term for any system or structure, whether it's cash, insurance, or family support, designed to protect you from severe hardship or catastrophe.
Number 3, risk. The calculated probability or threat of a negative occurrence caused by external vulnerabilities, which can be mitigated through preemptive planning.
Number 4, cushion. In finance, this refers to a buffer of extra money or time that softens the impact of a sudden negative event.
Number 5, liquidity. The speed and ease with which an asset can be converted into usable cash without losing its intrinsic value. An emergency fund must have supreme liquidity. Number 6, peace of mind. A psychological state of calmness and emotional security derived from knowing you are deeply protected against life's uncertainties. Number 7, contingency. A future event or circumstance that is possible but cannot be predicted with absolute certainty. A backup plan is a contingency plan. And finally, number 8, resilience. The capacity to absorb intense pressure, recover quickly from difficulties, and bounce back stronger than before. If there is one overarching lesson from this week's episodes, it is this. You cannot control the universe. You cannot control corporate downsizing. You cannot control macroeconomic recessions. And you cannot control sudden health scares. But you possess absolute control over your preparation. From Liam's mathematical breakdown of cash liquidity to Marcus's insights on contingency planning, the mandate is clear. Do not wait for the storm to start building your shelter. Start your ruthless financial audit today. Automate your savings. Build your safety net from zero, milestone by milestone. Even if you can only save $50 a month right now, that $50 is the first brick in your emotional fortress. You've been watching Decode Advanced English on Wealth by Hana House, where English meets finance, investing, and real-world thinking. Keep building your resilience. Keep protecting your peace of mind, and keep mastering your English. See you next week.